Good evening, everybody. Thank you and welcome to me. My name is Billy Elkins, and I'm an instructor here at Graphic Design and Photography. And on behalf of the Academy, we welcome you. We do some amazing things, just like you guys do. It took some time to look over your website, and it's really touching to see that there's other organizations that have a similar vision to ours, and that is community support. That is just kind of meeting people where they're at and providing a service and a connection where everyone feels safe. If you've not had time to look at our website and find out more about who we are, you can definitely check it out. The website has all the information, but essentially the Academy is a vocational organization that provides real world work to our members. So the meal that you're enjoying tonight was provided by our culinary team. So we've got amazing chef instructor. We have an amazing chef instructor who works with his team of members, and this is what we have for lunch every day. It's amazing. Wow. And so, but we close to this, the quality of food. And what's amazing about that is that members can come in at any point in time and get to work with someone who is, trained in this field and can provide this kind of opportunity. The rest of our teams that we have here were built into kind of like 3 different teams. One of them is business and technology. So this type of stuff, the PowerPoint presentations, all the stats, who's in, who's out, how long members are coming in for the day. That's our business and tech team. We do a lot more than that. And then the graphic design team, which people I'm part of. So I teach graphic design and photography, as I mentioned. And so like the table cards that you're seeing, that's all done by members. So earlier today, we're making sure that all the cards are made for the deal. What's amazing about that is that it's work. It's work that we're giving members, and it's a sense of accomplishment. So what is amazing for that for me is that, I started off when I found out about the Academy was a few years ago, 2018. I helped put on a huge Jeep festival in town.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
They're having difficulty hearing you online. Yes, it's very muffled and muted. I'm sorry, guys. I want everyone to be able to hear about them.
So I'm going to talk again and see if they can hear. So I was asked to run a Jeep festival with fellow Jeep enthusiasts. And what was interesting is that when we decided that we were going to be doing some fundraising,
They just want to see you.
we're seeing it. Now I'm nervous. I wasn't nervous about it. Now I'm assuming that makes noise. So as I was asked to help put on this Jeep festival, we had a couple of charities that we wanted to give money back to in the community. And we had great support by the local Jeep dealership, and they said, well, you're going to be supporting the Academy. And we said, of course we are. Because no one had any idea who the Academy was, what they did. And so we got to come here for a tour, and it literally changed my life at that moment. So that's 2018. And so, of course, we did it again in 2019. And same thing, we were able to raise money, we were able to create a lot of awareness. We got people into the building for tours, organizations I partnered with, and the rest of the board, the Jeep Festival. We got people in the door, and it was amazing. Like every time someone came in, they said, oh my gosh, how does no one know about this? And so I think you might have a similar feeling when I read it, when I was reading through the website. I was like, wow, you're another small organization that really is about awareness. Like, how do we get people to know who you are? How do we get people to know who we are? And it's stories, it's a meeting like this, it's getting to share with everyone that's online what we do and what you guys do. So thank you for being here. Thank you for considering us as a location to host your event. We love that we share this mission with you. So we really appreciate that. So going back to the story, so I did these for a couple of years with the Jeep Festival. I've had my own business, photography, graphic design, and before I started here at the academy, I was teaching at State College of Florida. And I saw a position come up for graphic design instructor. It was the day after Thanksgiving, and I'd stayed in contact with William over the years, and I messaged him, I said, I just applied for the job. And I said, "I'll be back on Monday." So on Monday, we talked, and it was great. And immediately I knew that if there was a position, this is where I wanted to be. This was my choice, that I could actually give back and do all the things that I love to do and to make a difference. But not that I wasn't making a difference at State College, it was a different kind of difference. But I knew from the time I walked in the door back in 2018, if I had the opportunity to be here full time, I would take it. So I started in December, so I've been here about 8 months, and it's been an amazing journey, just like everyone else that walks through the doors. So whether it's staff or whether it's members, this place is life-changing. What you guys are doing and creating awareness and what you do, life-changing, and that's amazing. So I'm glad that we can share that, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here with all of you. I'm glad you guys can be here. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the presentation tonight. Just want to let you know we've got some presentation folders right outside the hall here, or outside the dining room. Talks a little bit more about what we do, so please take one of those packets if you're interested. In there, you're going to find a brochure and some other information. But in addition to that, we've got a telethon that's coming up next week. We're super excited about that. And we'd like to reach 1,000 viewers or more. So if you could share that with some of your friends, family, we'd appreciate it. And it's super exciting for us. There's every single person that is here, members, staff, friends, family, everyone has been super supportive. And it's something, and it's a time of year that we get to share all the things that we get to do kind of on a global basis with people connecting from around the world. And that's amazing for our team to see. And when I say team, I mean every single person that walks through the store. So, and I use all of you now. So please join us on next Wednesday. There's a postcard that's in the presentation folder. And that's pretty much it for me. I wish you guys a successful meeting. It's been great. Most of you in the room, if I haven't, hi. It's nice to meet you all. And I'm going to turn this over to Betsy, and she'll.
We're still having trouble with online, so maybe we need to either stand over there or move that way.
Okay, Annalise, we're gonna try to see if this works a little better. Am I like now really Google eyeing the camera, right? How is that? Is that any better sound wise? Okay. You can probably hear me without it.
Much better.
Hello, everyone in Zoom land. We are so excited to be here and try to have this hybrid meeting. So if you're on a Zoom call, please give yourself a mute. And if you're here sampling this fabulous food, don't worry about busting your dishes. We'll bust them for you when it's all over. We are delighted to be here tonight. I think when I told my mother that I was going to moderate holding the calm, she never laughed so hard in her entire life. You are looking around, but I can get there pretty fast. I have had the pleasure of watching Hesha Abrams training sessions all afternoon. And you are in for a real treat to hear her talk tonight. Normally we would go through telling you all about Sarasota Strong. We exist to promote community-wide trauma awareness through healing, education, action, and leadership. We are a growing group of Sarasota County neighbors committed to learning about trauma and responding to its impact. And tonight, learning to hold the calm is what you will all get to do. So without further ado, I would like to let you know a little bit about our speaker tonight. So Hesha Abrams is an internationally acclaimed master attorney, mediator, negotiator, and deal maker, who for 30 years has been renowned for her success in resolving high-profile or difficult matters, including mediating a case over the secret recipe for Pepsi. She's worked with Google, Amazon, Facebook, IBM, Verizon, and other large multinational companies, individuals, inventors, and small businesses, creating deals and solving cases. Her popular new book, Holding the Calm, The Secret to Resolving Conflict and Diffusing Tension, is an insightful, practical, and easy-to-use guide to diffuse tension, eliminate conflict, and make deals. Hesha, we're ready for you.
Hello, everybody over there in balcony land. Hello, everybody here in the orchestra seats. But see, this is the great part for you all, is that when you get the balcony, you get front row balcony. Those are excellent seats. Let's make sure you can hear and you can see, and I'm gonna be walking around and moving around quite a bit. So if you don't see me, I feel pretty confident you'll be able to hear me, but if you don't, let us know. And you should be able to see the slides too. So, and we'll work through this sort of technical stuff, but while we're figuring all that out, how about a joke, right? Aren't those always a good way to start? So first of all, there's two hunters and they decide to go hunting in a remote region of the Grand Tetons. So they go to a pilot of a small charter aircraft and they unfurl this map and they say, we want to go to this remote region here in the Grand Tetons. And the pilot says, time out, there's no way. There's no clearance. There's no way I could possibly land there. Well, pilot last year got us in. Well, heck, if he can do it, I can do it. Load them up, boys. So he loads them up. They circle around. They find a little tiny bit of green and they land the plane. And he goes, oh, guys, that was close. I can't. A few days. He comes back in a few days and the hunter said there were 3 huge elk. And the pilot said, hey, time out. There's no way we're getting these puppies out of here. Well, pilot last year got us out with 3 elk. Well, heck, if he can do it, I can do it. Load one to one wing, load one to the other wing, load the third to the tail. The plane takes off, gains altitude, and just over the tops of the trees, hits a tree, crashes. Everybody just gets thrown out. And one hunter looks at his friend and says, hey, where are we? He says, oh, about 100 feet further than last year. So you will learn about me. I tell morals and stories all the time. Why? Because if someone, who wants to listen to someone doing this to you? I mean, it's just ridiculous. The Bible, Bhagavad Gita, the Torah, the Quran, the Buddhist Dhammasalas, everything teaches in stories. Why? Because you will remember it. And at the end of this talk, you are going to have some stories. And so the question is, oh, I just realized, hold on a second. I want to show you this. I left it in my bag. So I've been doing this stuff for over 35 years. So I have had a laboratory of human conflicts. You can have 1 million people build an edifice and one moron with a stick of dynamite. Boom, right? And aren't all of you builders of magnificent cathedrals and edifices, right? All of you. Otherwise, why would you be here? I feel like I'm in the Good Hearts Club. And you guys up in the balcony, I feel like I'm in the Good Hearts Club. I'm preaching to the choir here. Everybody here is doing good work. How does it get ruined? How do barriers happen to why you can't do more? Why are there fights and bumper car egos and all that nasty kind of stuff? So I've done every kind of case you can possibly imagine. And now I only do big, bad, and ugly ones, where someone says, I want $1 billion. And the company says, here's 10,000, go on. How do I settle that? It's not because I'm going to be smarter than them. It's not because I'm going to school them. It's not because I'm going to tell them where they're wrong. It's these techniques. How do you get things done? So you want a quick little example? Apples, 25 cents each. How many would you buy? I don't know. I like apples. I buy a couple. Apples, 4 for $1. 35% boost in sales. Now that's just stupid. You want to know the 10% boost in sales? Limit to. Now, Amazon, Walmart, Target, these kind of people have massive psychology of selling. Why should that matter? It makes absolutely no sense at all. Yet, that's how people work. So understand the psychology, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of a, neurology, neuroscience today that's just gonna make it interesting. We're gonna learn about the amygdala and why what you think you're really doing with the prefrontal cortex of the brain is not what you're doing. And that is true for every single person, every single person. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is all this DEI stuff we're doing now. God knows it's important. And yet, all white women aren't the same. All Black women aren't the same. All Hispanic men are not the same. All lesbians are not the same. Why am I talking to your shirt? To your outside? I want to look at you. I want to talk to you. So, want to learn some of that stuff tonight? Sound like fun? How about you guys up in the balcony? Can y'all hear me and see me? Yeah? Give me a thumbs up. I can see. Dick, I can see you up there. Good. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to start with spaghetti sauce. Oh, you're so good. Thank you, Ron. Spaghetti sauce. Everyone has dripped spaghetti sauce on the counter. You take a wet. No big deal. You leave it overnight. You're scraping it off with a spatula. Leave it 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 years, and it's old and moldy and nasty. That, my friends, is tension and conflict. And so part of the reason I wrote my book, long title, I wasn't happy with how long my title was, but I did it for a reason. The secret to resolving conflict and diffusing tension. Why? Because 100% of conflict, 100% of conflict starts with tension. It can be or it can be right? That's what percolates. And if you start to notice the tension and you got a couple of skills, you can wipe the spaghetti sauce up. That's the key. Now, all this stuff works also when it's old and moldy and nasty too. It's just harder. It just takes longer. And then the more you do it and the more you practice some of this stuff, how am I getting these big cases settled? When I've got big people from Muckety Muck University going to Muckety Muck Company, big fancy, whatever. And you know what we talk about with the CEOs and the VP of hoo-ha at 11 o'clock at night? Their idiot brother-in-law, their horrible neighbor, their ridiculous coach of their kids' lacrosse team. It's the interpersonal dynamics that are bumper car egos because we don't wipe it up when it's wet. So why? How about you guys up in the balcony? Think about that for a moment. Why? We're afraid, right? We don't know how. Maybe we'll make it worse. Maybe it'll go away, right? I want a chocolate cake to not be fattening and Brussels sprouts to be fattening. It's not going to get worse, right? It doesn't happen that way. So you can tell I'm an optimist, but I'm a realist. And so if I'm dealing with somebody who's got the emotional maturity of a second grader, why am I talking algebra? Why am I doing that? If you hit people where they are, so that's very respectful. It makes them feel seen and heard. And you know what? I have a different perspective that you hadn't thought of. And maybe it'll be okay. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't boundaries and there aren't lines and there isn't wrong. I am not Pollyanna at all. And you'll see that with what I do. But notice the cases that I tend to do. The reason I get hired is because I get them settled. I get them done. Nobody cares if, yay, effort, you did a good job. Nobody cares. Did it happen? So that's what it is I want to do with you a little bit today. So let's play. So that one, okay. So what do mammogram, root canal, colonoscopies have in common? We love them. Isn't that also true for conflict? That's what conflict and tension is. It's a mammogram, it's a root canal, it's a colonoscopy without anesthesia. Okay, so what I want to do is demystify it so it's not so scary to you. So that when a situation happens, you'll go, oh God, I can try this thing. I can try that. And gosh darn, it worked. That wasn't so hard. That was good. That's what I want to be able to do. Okay. Read that quote. I love that puppy. Test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. Now, by show of hands, how many people think our society has that today? Right? Now, what we can do is we in this room, the Good Hearts Club, and you guys up in the balcony, the Good Hearts Club, we can help start to bring some civility back into our conversations. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and we know it's challenging. God knows it's challenging, but the way we're going right now, nobody wants to do that. So let's find some other ways to do it. And what happens out in the regular world is it's like cavemen and cavewomen shoving food in our face. And I want to say, here's a spoon, here's a knife, here's chopsticks. There are some simple things that you can do, and I want to go over a bunch of them with you today, okay? This one is just because I think it's beautiful. Effective communication is the music of humanity. Isn't that lovely? All right, neuroscience for dummies, are we ready? Okay, so how many people know what an amygdala is? Raise your hands. Oh, good, I got an educated group, this is excellent. Okay, so the amygdala is two kidney-shaped little organs that are on the back, deep in the brain, above the brainstem. They are the fear and negativity center of the brain. And guess what? It operates in a nanosecond. What's a nanosecond? A billionth of a second. That's how quick it works. And so you think you're making a decision, you're not. Your amygdala has made the decision. And then it flows through the prefrontal cortex here to justify and rationalize the decision. And then want to make it worse? There's something called motivational rationalization, which means if I think a certain way, everything flows through that filter. So it doesn't matter about facts. It doesn't matter about rationale. It doesn't matter because, well, your stuff is wrong. Well, you didn't understand. The judge didn't understand. These people did it wrong. It's someone who can't ever say they're wrong and they admit they're wrong is literally showing you a level of emotional immaturity. And you are not going to change that. So we deal with it, right? That's all we're going to do. We're going to deal with it. So I joke that the reason why we all have flat foreheads is because we smash our heads against the wall so much trying to change people. There's only two people that like change. A wet baby and the Senate minority leader. That's it. Nobody else likes change. And nobody else likes to say, you're wrong. By the way, I'm smarter than you. I know more than you. I'm going to school you. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to teach you. Even if you're right, especially if you're right, it's the worst. It's absolutely the worst. No one wants to hear that. It makes them feel what? Help me out here. Stupid, small. Bored. Yes? Mad, disrespected, all that kind of stuff. And that's not the wine and roses of dating, my friend. Good dating requires a little wine and roses. All right. So, what is the calm? I have these pretty little pictures there. And there's a method to my madness. Why do I have that? Because I just could have had a forest, or a flower, or an ocean. But we've got like 140-ish people in this program. Every one of you is going to think different stuff. And different things are going to appeal to you. When you're talking to somebody, you have no idea what is, first of all, whatever, no one gives you this life unscathed. You have no idea what is going on with somebody else. And people who behave the worst often have the most garbage stacked up there, right? And it's still hard to deal with them. I'm not being Pollyanna about it. And chapter 1 that I did here is speak into the ears that are hearing you. I'm going to say that again. Speak into the ears that are hearing you. Want a quick and easy way of doing that? Would you speak to an introvert the same way you would speak to an extrovert? That seems so easy, right? And yet we do it, don't we? How about a detail person versus a big picture person? See how simple that is? What it does is requires I look at you, I listen to you, and you're yammering. I'm just going to use it as my example. I'm sorry, but you're yammering away. She's just yammering away, and I'm getting tired of listening. So I heard the content. I've heard this story before. I know it. So now I'm going to diagnose. Now that you're done with eating, I'm going to give you my favorite diagnostic analogy. You have a tummy ache. You go into the emergency room. You go, bleh. The rest of us go, oh, gross. I'm not that. Not the ER doc. She looks at it. Does it smell right? Does it look right? It shouldn't be in there. It's a diagnostic tool for that ER doc. What is it for us when someone goes, blah, 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 blah? Vomiting, it's a diagnostic tool. So you're listening to what they're saying, but you're also diagnosing what's happening. So one, you're telling them what kind of ears do they have. People within 60 seconds, I mean, I can do it now within like 15 or 20 seconds. It took 5 minutes. Who cares? You're gonna get better, better, better. Are they an introvert or are they an extrovert? Easy. Are they a big picture person or a detail person? Easy. Just start with just that. Because if you're a big picture person and you say to somebody, go with your gut, they look at you like, what is wrong with you? Now, I'm not going to do that. I want to analyze it. I want to get it down to what the details are. And then you won't resonate with them. It's just simple, just those two little things are, right? Holding is creating and sustaining the space for the calm. So we're going to come up with this name, holding calm. So Betsy joked that you're a hot personality. I'm a hot personality, baby doll. Calm does not come easy to me. I had a lot of early trauma in my life, a lot of difficulty, a lot of therapy. And so when I learned for myself, my amygdala would get triggered fast. I needed a moat between my feelings and my reaction time. So into that moat, what I discovered is people would say, calm down, calm down. Oh, I'm gonna go back, hold on. Never does that work. And people don't say, take a deep breath. You know why that doesn't work? Because the amygdala gets triggered when you feel powerless. So I'm feeling powerless because I'm really upset. And so I'm acting really upset. And you say to me, take a deep breath, dipwad. Even if you don't say it, that's what they're hearing. You're out of control. Okay, does that make me feel more or less powerless? Right? It's ridiculous, and yet that's kind of what we do. It's just the craziest thing in the world. So what I would literally do for myself is I would say, holding the calm, holding the calm, holding the calm. What did that take? 2 seconds? And what it did is it didn't just calm me down. It said to my amygdala, I have choices. I am not powerless. I have options. What am I going to do? What do I choose to do? What are the consequences if I do something? It's a terrific mantra and it absolutely works. That's why I, wrote the book. Okay, what's not holding the calm? Easy. Defensiveness, panic, overreaction, dismissiveness, arguing, eye rolling. It's so disrespectful to somebody else, even if what they're saying is really idiotic and stupid. The best way to get someone to backpedal for something stupid is to actually listen to them and repeat it back to them. And they will then say, well, that's not what I meant. Because it sounds stupid when you hear that. Okay. Never in the history of calming down has anyone ever calmed down by being told to calm down. Police officers are trained with this. They would walk into volatile situations and go, calm down, calm down. It was literally like putting kerosene onto a fire. Oh, it is raining. Our cars are getting flooded. See, you come to a program for Sarasota Strong and you get a free car wash. Okay, this one you're gonna like. So when I first, well, people ask me this all the time, so I will share with you all. I made 10,000 speeches in my life. And people are always saying, you gotta write a book, you gotta write a book. No time to write a book. I was working, I was a mother. What's the time for this stuff? 2 years ago, I had a hysterectomy, knock on wood, there's fibroids, turned out to be fine, no problem. I was grounded for 6 weeks. Said, I'm gonna write my book. And I thought, what out there, how things should be, and how the world should work if you do it. That's not my experience. I work in a sewer. I work with rage and anger and defensiveness and lying and deception and fear and power struggle. And that's where conflict lives, in that space. How do you get that done? And I wanted something easy and simple that everybody could pick up and be able to do something. What I wanted was reading glasses. So I'll tell you, I travel a lot all over the world, and I like to go to places where Starbucks and McDonald's haven't hit yet. So, and when I go, it's usually a lot of poverty in those areas, And I would bring markers and pens and balls and toys for kids, because you want to, give stuff out to people, and then you can really connect with them as opposed to the, rich American that shows up in this poverty village, right? And then I landed on something awesome. You can go wholesale and buy reading glasses for $2 a pair. I would buy like 200 pairs, and they fit in your luggage nice and tight. And then when you're done, you've got little souvenirs to bring back. And I would pass out reading glasses. People were blown away. I had grandchildren dragging me over to their grandmother's stall so they too could see. I had an old man that had him on and it had a 3.0, and I reached up to take his 3.0 and he smacked my hand away. Like it was like a Calvin Klein sticker for him. It was so interesting to be able to do that. But until they put on the glasses, they didn't know how bad it was. Isn't that true with any skill set development? You don't know how much better it can be until you actually do it. And what I want this to be is not intimidating. You don't need a master's degree. You don't need to take some master course. You don't need to just sign up for somebody's hoo-ha, whatever. Just try some of these things now. It'll just make your life easier for you personally and selfishly. And then everyone you interact with will be the beneficiary. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about chemicals and drugs. How many people here work with people who have addiction issues? A bunch, right? How about you guys also in the balcony? Some addiction issues, I think. So you all know some of this, but these are the main body chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, cortisol, serotonin, and endorphins. They are flooding all of us all the darn time. And when this happens, and when the amygdala is triggered, guess what happens? You go into something called a refractory state. And they show people in MRIs with electrodes and jump all over their heads, so they know this to be true by every kind of person: man, woman, binary, black, white, old, young, rich, poor. It doesn't make a difference. It's the human amygdala is triggered. You are in a refractory state. And guess what happens in a refractory state? This prefrontal cortex up here goes dark. You can't think. So when someone is upset, you go, let me give you information. Let me try to persuade you. Let me try to help you. Let me try to talk about this stuff. You're speaking another language. They don't understand a thing you're saying. And then they're getting more and more angry and more frustrated. So the best thing to do is to just hold the calm. Just stop. I'll sit with you while we process this. Okay? And I'll sometimes have people, generally when I speak to groups of lawyers or business people, like, it takes too long, 20 minutes. I say, yeah, but how long is that fight going to be? Way longer, way longer. And then when you do that for somebody, what are they going to feel? Help me out here.
Valued, heard.
Valued, heard. What else? Accepted, empowered, right? How about you guys up in the balcony? You get to use the chat function because I want you to fully be able to participate. So we're going to look at you guys too. So type in the chat function. When I'm asked these questions, what do they feel? And what kind of a gift are you giving people? What an amazing thing. And when I do these speeches and seminars, I always ask people, how many people feel in their own private lives that they are fully and completely heard and valued? Right? Come on. So what a gift that you can give to somebody, even if they say something stupid, even if it's thoughtless, even if it's mean. What a turnaround to do something like that. And lest you think I can do it all the time, I cannot either. I'm human just like everybody else. And we were teasing, even though I have a lot of experience and I have a long wick before I can. Long wick now. But you can push my buttons. I can be hangry. You can be in my way. I mean, it's like everybody else. And we were teasing that I think the day that I will get it perfect, the next day I'll die. Because God will say, oh, you're done. You're done. So there's a lot of grace that you give yourself, which means you give other people grace. Okay? Okay, let's just do a quick thing on chemicals. Dopamine. Short-term reward pleasure hormone. Focus, desire, arousal, but too much and you crash. Sugar, social media, drugs, alcohol, materialism. Okay? Everybody is addicted to dopamine. We are all chickens hitting the lever. Every single one of us. And what is important is that you know what your dopamine hit is, because that's how you can guard against it. Okay, we get to do this in the dark, but the power is still working on this.
We have a timer.
The lights always shut off at 7 p.m. We just need to turn it back.
Oh, but it's a power issue.
The building goes dark every night at 7. We've had events here.
So, and let there be light. That is awesome, thank you. You mind if I just keep going while I explain? Okay. Oxytocin, long-term happiness hormone, physical touch, loving relationships, community, protection, empathy, trust, being in flow. Everybody wants oxytocin, right? But if you have it all the time, you get numb to it. You need higher and higher doses, which are not, which is not normal. And it's unreasonable expectations for your partners and your family to be able to feed you like that all the time. Cortisol, the stress hormone, stress, anxiety, but it can give you energy, but it has long-term health problems if it's chronically high. Serotonin goals, but it can lead to workaholism, depression, if there's no life purpose or meaning. And think about what's happening in our society now. Sometimes life is too easy for people. And my daughter-in-law is a psychologist in a wealthy area in Texas, and almost all of her patients are wealthy kids of wealthy people that are miserable, right? Life is too easy and nothing to strive for, nothing to challenge. And this is my own little personal theory that I would give you on this, is it's gravity. Everybody in this room, particularly, we're not fans of gravity, right? I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Lift up, I want to pull up a little bit, you know? But think about it, gravity is this weird invisible force that people before Newton actually figured it out. But if I drop something pulls it to the ground. I think that there is a spiritual, emotional gravity, that we get pulled down because when we push against it, that's what develops muscle. So I'm gonna tell you a true story that's creepy, and you guys are all gonna use this. Crabs. Fishermen fish for crabs, and fisherwomen too, I guess. And they get the crabs, and if you put a crab in the bucket, you don't want to put the lid on it because you want it to get oxygen. The crab will just climb out. But if you put 2 crabs in the bucket, the other crab will reach up and pull his legs in. And then you can keep the lid off the bucket because they will never get out. Think about that as an analogy for people that know groups, families, communities. When we talk about toxic families and toxic communities, that's a big label to throw on something because they're also traumatized and they're also hurt and they're also disadvantaged and there's a lot of other things. Just call them crabs. Because that's just a skill set issue. For some reason, in that community, I'm going to reach up and pull you down as opposed to let you step on my back and get out. That's what we want to foster. And that's what I'm imagining all of you do at Sarah So Strong, that all of you do here at this organization, and everything that, good work stuff, that's in fact what that is. So I'm giving you all the good stuff, and then I want to go to, okay, what are the barriers? What stops us from achieving this? What's the dynamite that blows up people? Forgot endorphin, sorry. Body protection when pain or stress, boosted by exercising, eating, sex, massage, also very addictive. So when you look at people that have issues about things, it's easier to be you victim, me healer, you bad, me good, as opposed to you got an overabundance of endorphins, dude. Whoa, you got, what is an antidepressant? It's a serotonin inhibitor. So the serotonin gets uptook in your body too much, so it inhibits it, so you have a little more serotonin. People that have too much cortisol, they're a workaholic, but they're at the top of the ladder and they're very successful, and the body's filled with stress. So everything is, balance, Obi-Wan, right? And you don't know balance until you get out of balance. But understanding all those chemicals helps when you're interacting with someone else, because if we don't understand that, what do we say? You're an idiot, you're a jerk, you're stupid, you're a sociopath, you're a narcissist. Man, are we quick with labels. And when you have labels, no curiosity going on, no problem solving happening, And it's much harder to wipe that spaghetti sauce up when it's wet. All right. So, Schrodinger's cat, I'm actually doing a keynote for Los Alamos, so that's why that's in here, but that's more than we want to go through today. Okay, why are you good at what you do? I'm giving everybody a homework assignment. For the next day, I want you really thinking about, and I want 3 things. Why are you good at what you do? And why, what value do you provide? And make it your family, the world, the organization, I don't care, whatever it is you work, that's actually a homework assignment. Because guess what you're gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah, because we criticize ourselves, exactly. But if you can't do it for yourself, you can't do it for the people you serve. You can't help these other people. And you know the other people that are really in trauma and difficulty, you ask them that, they're gonna say, I'm a rotten piece of garbage. I'm a stupid moron. How many times you hear people say, I can't do anything right, I'm an idiot, I have the worst luck, I'm so stupid, I'm so clumsy. People are abusive to each other, abusive to themselves, for God's sakes. So my homework assignment to you is notice when you yourself do that yourself, and I'll tell you how I learned it. I went through a very painful divorce, and I'm talking to a therapist, and I don't remember what I said. And he said, my God, are you abusive? And I was just so flabbergasted. And he said back to me the things I had said about myself. I thought I was being personal growth, and I was examining myself honestly, and I was looking at all of these things. And it was a beautiful game changer for me. So I don't ever abuse myself. I forensic myself. How could I have done it better, faster, easier? How can I be kinder, bigger, more joyful, more understanding, more forgiving? All that stuff, I don't criticize myself anymore. So I'd like to offer that to all of you as homework for yourselves, then find the value piece for yourselves. And then if you're willing for some advanced homework, do it on 1 or 2 other people that you know. And if you really want advanced stuff, do it for people you don't like. It will be pretty amazing what you do. And then if you develop that muscle, you'll do that for the people you serve. Or you're in a community meeting and someone just won't stop talking, God. Then you'll just turn. How do I find what they're good at? Excuse me. And I like to say that for kids. Think about our whole education system. We test you to find out where you're wrong. We test you to find how you're bad. Shouldn't school be the beginning weeks of school should be, I want to figure out what your talent is, what's your superpower, how great are you? What, that's what it should be. And kids, all the neuroscience proves this. Kids, adults, everybody, we will meet standards. If your standard is here because, oh, you poor baby, and you're living like this, and only have that, and oh, that's all. That's what the kid's going to meet. That's what the adult is going to meet. But if you hold a high enough standard to look at somebody and say, I believe in you. I believe in you. I think you can handle more. Let's talk about how I can help you, but all those chemicals, we just gave a big doses of it. Okay. You're going to love this story. So this is a story, my friends in the balcony, about a couch, a $25,000 couch. Okay. There was a kind, I heard this on Hidden Brain on NPR, and it was after the book was already in publication, so I couldn't add it, but I love it. So what happens, well, let me do the story first. So there was a couch company that sold bespoke, customized, fancy couches. Fancy material, you can pick any length, the piping, the size of the cushions, you can customize this whole thing. 20, 25 grand, right? 20, 25, 30 grand, depending on what you pick. And people would go online like this and design these gorgeous things, and a huge percentage of them would not complete the sale. The company is flummoxed. They're on the website, they're engaging, they're doing it, and they can certainly afford it. Why aren't they completing the sale? So what do we do when we get a barrier? Remember, I promised you we're going to talk about removing barriers? It's like a car. You've got to gas, And so what most of us do is we hit the gas. I'm going to tell you more. I'm going to share more. I'm going to persuade more. So that's what the company did. More sales, more advertising, more big stuff. Didn't do it. Finally, they hit the brakes and they hired someone to call people who didn't complete the sale and have a nice, friendly conversation with them and ask them why they didn't complete the sale. The number one reason why people who could afford a $25,000 couch did not complete the sale? Drum roll, please. They didn't know what to do with the old couch. So now, is not the solution easy? When you get the new one, we will take away your old one and give you a charitable tax. Sales skyrocketed. So often, when you get a barrier, we have the tendency to hit the gas. Want to stop and hit the brakes. What are the barriers here? What is preventing this from happening as opposed to me pushing, arguing, persuading, data, incentivizing, penalizing, threatening? Oh, think of kids. Kid doesn't do his room, right? Kid doesn't clean his room. We try all those things and it didn't really work. Want a technique that absolutely works? Because I've tried it on my own kids and grandchildren. And it's something, a trick called loss aversion. There's a guy named Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman who proved mathematically, and they actually got a Nobel Prize for this stuff. They proved that what is owned by me is more valuable than what is owned by you, even though it's the same doggone thing. Should make no difference, right? So this is what I did, and I talk about this in the book. You want the kid to clean the room. So you can say, my kids were young a while ago where a quarter actually meant something. So I would say to them, I'm going to give you a quarter every day you make your bed. A couple of days they made their bed. And then I thought loss aversion. So I took 7 quarters, and 14 quarters, I did 2 weeks. And I lined them up on the windowsill. And I said, these are yours. But every day that you don't make your bed, I'm taking a quarter away. So one day I took the quarter away. Oh my God, furious. Then they made the bed for a couple of days. Then they didn't. I took the quarter away, never had to do it again. Bed was always made. Because what is owned by you is always more valuable than what's in someone else's pocket, right? There's another famous story of a girl in the candy store who sells jelly beans. And you go in and say, I want half a pound of jelly beans. One gal scoops up a huge amount, throws it in the scale, and pulls it off to get to half. The other one picks up little bits, like this, and fills it up to a half a pound. Gotcha. The second, why? Because you feel like you're getting more. Apples, 4 for $1. Packaging and promoting and reframing is so critical to how our brains think. All right. I promised you all that I would give you some advanced stuff. So what if someone won't talk? You're a talker, we're trying to get them to talk, and they do the no. That's really hard. So one of the techniques I talk about in the book is called VUCS, VUCS, validate, understand, clarify, summarize. It's a 4-part thing that works in freaking every situation. I mean, every situation, but it takes a little bit longer, but it's a fantastic thing. The number one thing is validate. And I am telling you guys, validation is the WD-40 of the universe. It really is. And for gentlemen, it's not on what a woman wears. And men don't know that. They really don't. And it's not fair, but they don't know that. Women don't want to be complimented on their outsides. They want to be complimented on what they did, what they achieved, how they made something. Women got the same thing back to guys. So being able to validate somebody, and let's say you can't. This person is a raving lunatic, or selfish, or taking up all the airspace in the room, or lazy, or non-compliant, or fill in the blank. And you have a real hard time validating them, and they're upset. The trick that the sort of cousin to validation is to name the emotion. You seem really upset. I'm not upset, I'm angry. Okay, you seem really angry. I'm willing to listen to you. Can you tell me what happened? Why is that so upsetting to you? I can't help you if I don't understand. Where else did that go from? You just start those kind of questions, and you know what it does? It turns on your give a darn. That's half the battle. So if some of you were listening to me thinking, oh, I couldn't say that, I wouldn't know what to say, I wouldn't know what to do, I don't have the right words. Trust me, all you have to do is turn on the give a darn meter. That's it. That's it. And people will respond. And if you hold the calm and you stay calm, so somebody says, I'm tired of you always whining at me and you're always nagging me and you do rah, 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 rah. And you just say to yourself, I'm holding the calm, holding the calm, I'm holding the calm. You seem really upset. You seem really frustrated. You seem sad. What will happen is, because we all know, everybody here knows, right, that fear underlies almost everything, right? But you got all these layers you got to get through first. And people just start crying or they'll get upset. Or in the end, you did nothing. And they will say, I'm so listened to. Okay? What a gift you gave to people. What a gift you gave to people. All right. So if someone refuses to speak, what I do is I say, you seem to be frustrated with what is happening here. No, it's fine. Okay. Well, do you want me just to sit here with you in silence then, and we can just kind of ponder it together? They look at you shocked, because the reason why they have adaptive behavior of not talking is because as a kid, that worked for them. They didn't get hit or yelled at or rejected or whatever. It worked for them. So most people fight. What's wrong with you? Open up your mouth. You're so stupid. All that kind of junk. Not doing it now. You just accept what is. I'll sit here with you. I could use a little peace and quiet. Sometimes I may something like, are you not trusting what's happening here? Do you feel like this is not really a credible thing, or it's not trusting? Whatever feeling I get, I'll just ask those questions. Within the second question, I get it right. You will get it right within the second or third question every time. Just trust me on that. If you ask, by the time you get to a third question, you will get it right. You just will. And then all of a sudden, they'll start talking and you're listening. Us versus them. I don't want to, because how time-wise, we're kind of running out of time already. I have all this stuff in here. So you have it, plus I have it all on my webpage. I'm doing tons of podcasts, and they're all free, and I put them all over my webpage. So you can listen to everything you want, because my goal is to just get this out in the universe. I had a, sort of fuss with publishers and people that I wanted it, an inexpensive little thing on Amazon that was simple and easy that people could use right now. So on my website, holdingthecalm.com, I got all kinds of stuff. So I have a lot on these things that you can get. And same thing with that. Actually, did you know that the United States military has a division of psychological operations? It's cool. And I'm friends with the guy that used to be the head of it. And he and I would share stories that, might have to kill you if I told you. But I mean, interesting kind of ideas, and I might be doing stuff with over there. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, I told you about bucks. Okay, so I'm just going to go over quickly the Holding the Calm Toolkit, because the mind can only absorb what the bladder can hold. And it's probably been about an hour and a half. Okay, so speak into the ears that are hearing you. You clarify generalities like always and never. I go over that a bunch in there. Someone can say always means 100%. Someone else thinks always means 72%. Big difference, right? Listen to what is not being said. That's the vomiting story. And you're hearing what else is going on. Allow the magic of silence to work. It's a beautiful thing, and people are uncomfortable with it. So they'll blurt stuff out. And then when you don't judge them or criticize them and you just listen, this is good for the trauma in the world that you're working in. But this is good buying a car, buying a house, negotiating, being with your spouse, being with your teenager. And you know what my claim to fame is? So this works. And I can tell you the story that she doesn't even remember. I asked her about this. She didn't even remember this. She was dating my son. They'd been married 16 years already, I think. And she was dating my son, and I could tell they were very serious. And I'm smart enough to know if you're not good to the girlfriend, it becomes the wife. You know, it can become a real problem, right? So it was his birthday and I was gonna buy him a cake. And because I was sucking up, basically, I said, you know him better than me. What kind of cake should I give him? And she said, oh, you know, get it, we were at the store, get him that German chocolate cake. Thinking, my son hates cookies. I know that, but hit my tongue so hard it bled. And I said, okay. So I bring the cake home and David, it's disgusting, Mom, you know, I don't like this kind of stuff. And she looked at me with these big deer eyes. I didn't say a word. No, I made a mistake. I thought it was chocolate. I'm sorry. Didn't throw her under the bus. She knew in that moment she could trust me. And look at the relationship. Trust, yeah, in the Bible, it talks about wine and fever. If I steal your goat, I have to give you back 5 goats, right? It's an interesting thing. Neuroscience has proven that. You do something wrong, you got to do 5 good things to counteract the one wrong. In the queue, and that just brings you to neutral. You think, I'm good. I got credit in the bank. No, you don't. You don't have any credit in the bank. You better do 5 good things to erase the one negative thing. So my advice to everybody is put stuff on credit, get it in the bank, because every one of us is going to screw up and mess up. It's just the nature of humanity. And if you have enough credit in the bank, okay, you know. High emotions are an opportunity to diagnose. That's our vomiting story. I like that there are no problems, only solutions waiting to be found. That's just the way I act. And part of it is from my own trauma and my own childhood, the difficulties I went through. And I can tell this group, I don't normally do this in a speech, but I was 17 and I went to college and I went into the counselor's office and I said, something is wrong with me. And they went, are you on drugs? No. Do you need an abortion? No. Are you being sex traded? No. You know, and I just said, but something's wrong. Like, this isn't the way things should be. And they went, get out of here, right? And so I had a lifetime of therapy to figure out we are all little baby replicas of how we were raised. Oh, this is the way it is. No, my friends, that is not the way it is. Just the way your parents interacted is not the way you should interact. To choose what you want and how you want to do it. And that is so revolutionary that people can't accept it. And a lot of people that have gone through trauma get stuck in that place. And you can reinvent. People, there's a book called by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. He was a psychiatrist in the concentration camps. And he espoused this in the concentration camps. Okay, so it can be done. It's just a choice of half full or half empty. What do I choose? And I'm just going to choose double-edged joy. That's just what I'm going to do. And I'm going to battle demons and I'm going to battle barriers. And I'm going to not pull anyone else down into the bucket. Not going to do it. Find the self-interest. I'm going to talk a lot about that. That's not the Pollyanna. Win-win problem solving. Let's all do stuff together. Yeah. Right. Okay. It's what the enemy of my enemy is my friend. What do they need? What do I need? How do we align those things? That's how you make deals. But that's beyond the scope of what we're talking about here. Be the grown-up in the room. I have a whole lovely chapter on be the grown-up in the room. Is not losing more important than winning, which is talked about with the kid in the quarters. Seeking creative solutions always. This one you're going to like. Use plural we words to avoid the us versus them mentality. Our brains are wired for Hatfields and McCoys. They are wired for tribal things. You know, the Iroquois and the Sioux didn't like each other. I mean, yeah, cavemen from different tribes there and there didn't like each other. We are wired, and they've done it with babies. Babies look at faces, and if your face is different than my normal caregiver's face, there's a push away that you don't belong to me. We are just wired for that. So I think that that's the spiritual gravity that we are pushing against to develop spiritual muscle so that we can see beyond. I don't want to be a cave woman. You know, I don't want to be. I want to be more. Why not? My husband has a Navy SEAL friend. I don't know if you know the Navy SEALs, as part of the training, have to tread water until they die. That's literally what they're told. So my husband asked his friend, so how long can you tread water? And he said, oh no, I'm not dead yet. And I think about that for all of us in the Good Heart Club here and up in the balcony, the Good Heart Club is how big can we get? How loving can we get? How forgiving can we get? How kind can we get? How creative can we get? How expansive? I don't know, I'm not dead yet. Avoid the dangers of over negotiating. Got some wonderful stuff in there about that. The blame, defend, justify death dance, which is vicious. Politeness and civility actually matter scientifically. And I talk about that. There's scientific studies. Now, 10% of the people, okay, you don't worry about that. I try to live by the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, if it works, with 80% of the people, I'm calling that good, right? I'm gonna survive with that, okay? Be curious about people. I have a whole thing about having people become zoo animals, which is actually much better than standing up in the front of a crowd and seeing you in your underwear. It's actually quite fun. If you have somebody really hard to deal with, really hard, you just imagine them as a particular zoo animal. If there's somebody that gaslights, they're a skunk. Right? If there's somebody, when you see them as a zoo animal, who's got the power in that energy? Asking for someone for advice is like giving them a dozen roses. Everyone wants to be meaningful. And you don't have to take their advice. Ask as many people for advice as you can. It's free and you have no obligation to take it. You say, I'll take it under advisement. Thank you so much. And you make them feel good because you asked them for it and you get free advice. Culturally and ability sensitive. I've got a really cool little story in there about that. Creating small winnable victories. This is one of the things I want to leave you with. We tend to look at things very big. Abortion, get your hands off my body. Killer. Where is the solution there? Right? If we take issues and we make them, you're a lying piece of crap. You're a conniving, manipulative witch. Okay, but where's the discussion in that? When you're trying to solve a problem, you want to erode it and dissolve it from the outside, creating small, winnable victories. And I'm going to give you just a quick thing that you have to do if you're in a, because I'm in the world of negotiation. If let's say you're in a tense situation, give power away to the other guy or gal. Where would you like to sit? When would you like to start? What would you like to eat? What's most important to you? What radio station would you like to listen to? Which way should we drive home? It's totally irrelevant, right? But it's power. You're giving away power. What did that do to the amygdala, my friend? Let's go to the neuroscience course with me. Calms it the heck down. All right. Ensure all options are exhausted and always, always, always hold the calm. So I'm going to leave you with my favorite story. I know we have some time for Q&A, and if you have to leave, you gotta leave, I realize. So although that food is delicious, guys, it's beckoning us for a second. And so beautifully presented too. So in 1940s, the Broadway show Peter Pan first appeared on stage, and it was a massive, massive hit, right? All of a sudden, you had reports coming from all over of kids on the balconies, jumping off the balconies and being in emergency rooms and really serious injuries all over the place. So what happened? The blame, defend, justify, death dance I talked with you about. All the papers, everyone, oh, Peter Pan is so bad, you're so evil, and what are you doing? And all this bad and terrible stuff. Well, the producer of Peter Pan, thank God, was an enlightened individual. He said, I have a problem, barrier. Figure out how to get rid of this barrier. I got it. Peter Pan will only be able to fly when Tinkerbell sprinkles magic pixie dust on him. Problem solved. Now, this is 2023, we'd be selling the pixie dust in the lobby, right? But my goal in doing this, and why I'm spending so much of my time and effort and energy doing this, literally all over the world. My book's getting published in Chinese, coming out in December. Thank you. I'm excited about it. But I'm trying to get, we can sprinkle pixie dust everywhere we go. And what I would say to you is, I mean, I've had 35 years of pulling all this stuff out for you guys. Pick one thing. One, use plural pronouns. Instead of saying, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? Right? Exactly. How can we do this? Pick one thing. Play with it. Maybe it works. Pick a second. Maybe it works. Let it enrich your life. Let it be pixie dust. Thank you for listening. Thank you guys for listening.
Well, I feel like holding the palm is like the microfiber cloth, been looking up the wake up spaghetti everywhere. How do we feel? Do we have some burning questions either in the chat or in the room? What do you want to ask, Hesha? What are you thinking?
Just even thinking personally with a teenager of, okay, when he's in this state, you know, trying to hold the calm, but just little things that you share. Also with all the volunteer work, working in the groups. So a lot of insight, so thank you.
And validate it too. When somebody says something, if you say to some, oh, let me give you a quick one with that one. Thank you. Is to be able to say, well, that was insightful. They're like a puddle of butter that just melted in front of you. You know, that was very insightful is a great word. Because if you say to somebody, well, that was really smart, like, oh, did you think I was dumb? You know, but so and this is the beautiful thing, you'll learn. If you do one and you get a reaction, you go, okay, I learned on that one. So insightful is a good one. Thoughtful is a good one. Energetic, passionate, helpful, dedicated, cooperative. See how many there are? And you want to know how to deal with Thanksgiving dinner with that horrible relative? Would you like that? This is so good. It's a long Thanksgiving dinner or at a big meeting, and that one person just pushes buttons. He or she knows it. They probably either enjoy it or they're so clueless they don't realize it, and they're pushing these buttons, and you can't get it to shut off and stop. You know what you do? You know what I admire about you? Silence. Another word won't come out of anybody's mouth because they're gonna go, yes. Hear what you have to say, and another word comes out of their mouth. And now you say something. Your passion, your dedication, your commitment, your energy, your enthusiasm, whatever the heck it is you can actually say. And what does it do to that person? They crawl back. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know what to do, because that's a person that doesn't get any good attention. So it's like a kid that gets bad attention. Okay, that's like a great trick. You guys are gonna love that one. That's
You get your books here?
Amazon. Amazon's the best place to get it, but Walmart, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, it's everywhere. And if you do get it, if you wouldn't mind leaving a nice review on Amazon, because that bumps up the search engine nonsense that you have to play. But thank you. And it's, I insisted it be cheap. I think it's like $13, which I mean, I wanted it like simple and easy. And oh, by the way, what I also put in the back is I put a discussion guide, because everybody has to get continuing education credit, right? And those things are expensive, and training budgets are expensive to do. So I put a discussion guide in the back that tracks the book. So if you sit with a group of people and, you know, each week you go over 2 or 3 of them, you'll finish it in 2 or 3 weeks if you want to. And what'll happen is you'll look at one and say, oh, that's dumb. And someone else will say, oh, no, that was really meaningful to me. You go, what? What? That's how training really happens. That kind of training, you know? And one of the things I wanted to do, and it was just too hard to do it with this thing, but I wanted to teach you guys how to do it anyway. I had to do a government training for a big government agency, and it was during COVID, and it was on Zoom. And so I had, 50 or 60 little black boxes of people, and the body language was this. I mean, government agency, been there, done that, what kind of garbage you shoving down our throat now? I thought, oh God, if I don't get this opened up, I'm at that one. Like, this is terrible. This is gonna happen. So on the spur of the moment, I just said, everybody, put in the chat your favorite flavor of ice cream. And I was gonna try to do that with our group here, but it was a little too hard to do. So everybody put in, whatever different flavors. Then I just started riffing on it. Oh, who likes the gooey, cooey, rocky roads? Those are you guys. Oh, no, that's my purists. You like that? Oh, sure. You guys don't like dairy. Do we have tummy troubles? And they started laughing and joking. And then I said, I'd like you to look at that list, because I'm sure within this group, there's a couple of people you don't like. Come on, you know that's true, right? See what flavor of ice cream they like. And you had people going, oh my God, we both like Rocky Road. Oh my God, we both like mint chocolate chip. Remember I talked about create small winnable victories? I did a stupid connective thing over nothing, over ice cream. And people connected with each other. And the supervisor afterwards told me how the team building and all that junk was so much better because people, you can't be that terrible. You like the same ice cream as me? Isn't that just ridiculous? It's ridiculous, but that's how our brain works. And I want to give you all one more quick thing. If you have to or someone on TV that you really hate, or you're really having a big emotional charge over somebody, and you can't run away. Because remember, I'm pragmatic. You can run away, run away. But if you can't, you have to deal with them. This is what you do. Look at them, say, sorry to make you my bad guy. Would you pull my kid out of a burning car? 95% of the time, the answer to that is, or maybe there's something redemptive about you. And maybe I will only see and speak to that. It's a Band-Aid. I know I can't fix you or change you, but it's a Band-Aid that enables me to deal with you. Yeah.
So finally, I wonder if anyone is willing to share what one thing you learned tonight that you didn't think about before and how you might use that in your life and where and when. First of all, I'll apologize for what I'm going to say. I love your story about your son making it. What I would like to know is how old was your son when you had to stop leaving quarters?
That's funny. I think I did it. I'm trying to remember, he must have been 7 or 8. Yeah, 40. I don't remember. I think it just kind of became part of
Oh,
being slovenly. But that's funny.
But your daughter-in-law's story was priceless. Oh my God, that was so good. I loved it. Thank you, Rana. Would anyone else like to share something that really struck them, something you've learned?
And Annalise, do we have anyone in the chats too, so we can include the balcony folks? Oh, come on, guys. Seriously, it's gonna make me think you weren't listening. Come on.
Hello. Something that I learned today and that really stuck out to me and that I will be using is when you mentioned people go to the expectations you set for them. And instead of going to, well, for you, and maybe that is too much for you, but to instill that I believe in you, you can do this. How can I help you get to that point? That was very powerful, and I'll be sticking to that. Thank you.
I love it. And I learned that when I was 32 and I took suicide crisis training. And I have a whole thing in the book about that. I took their class on listening and didn't listen. And this lady there came up to me after my first phone call and I thought I was a genius. She goes, "You're doing it wrong." and she taught me a lot. But you're gonna like it. Good for you. Good for you. Anybody else? Anything in the chats? I want you guys to feel involved. You get to talk. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
I would say, today my best friend and I had a falling out and we got back together to talk. So now I wish we could talk after this instead of before. Because I love when you said we. I wouldn't have said that. And if I had just shifted that one word, that could have changed the whole way the conversation went. If somebody would have said to her, we need to start looking for some creative solutions.
Good for you.
I could have just used that one liner to change the whole conversation.
Good for you. And you know what that is? So wise of you. You wiped the spaghetti sauce up on its wet. It was a little harder, so you had to do it when it was a little older. But next time, remember, none of us are dead yet. So we get to practice this again and again and again every day. Wipe the spaghetti sauce up when it's wet. It's so much easier. It's awesome.
Hello. I got so much out of this whole thing too. I was something that was kind of like just creating win-wins, right? Like for everybody. But I had a question too. So what if you have somebody that you're interacting with that's like super aggressive? Like how, I mean, like you're gonna throw a compliment at them, and what do you, like they're coming at you, it feels, you feel afraid, and you're like, what do you do to, like, what would you suggest? Like, you know, situations that are really highly
Intense.
yeah.
Okay, so first of all, you are a gentle person. You're probably an introvert, right? Yeah. Okay. So, and see, if you were an extrovert and a more aggressive person, the advice would be different. So notice I'm speaking into the ears that are hearing. So for you, you're gentle. And when someone comes at you, it feels very bruising. So your amygdala gets triggered. So you can't do the more advanced, you know, prefrontal cortex kind of techniques because it's not going to work. You're going to be in fear mode yourself. So you have two choices. If you are in fear mode, the best thing to say is to do something to take power. I want to just hold the calm for a moment, or I want to take a deep breath so that we can thoughtfully talk about what you're saying. So you're taking power. If you're less triggered, you can give power. Huh. Well, you know what I admire about you is you really are passionate about that. And I would want to understand more. And if someone and then you compliment, you validate, and you can always say too, do you think I might have a different opinion? Like if I want to say something to somebody and I want them to hear me, I don't know if you noticed, even in my presentation here to you, how many times I asked you questions. Okay, because I want you to hear what I'm saying, so it's polite. I'm going to ask you. So I would say for you, they have two ways. I'm triggered or I'm not triggered. And if I'm triggered, you protect yourself first. And it can be the, you know what I admire about you thing is actually very powerful because it knocks them on their butts. They don't know what to do with it. They don't understand it. And there's a little bit of a, who the heck are you? Like I was dominating this conversation. What are you doing? Especially if there's other people around. So it's a great way of saying, you thought you were playing football? We're playing tennis. You know, so that's a good thing to do too. And I've got, what I put in the book is probably 100 sentence stems. And I tell people, look at them, put them on your phone, put a Post-it note somewhere so that in the moment, I got it. So because remember, your refractory state's kicking in too. You're not thinking. So you've got to be able to do that. You can always use the we stuff. Oh, that's an interesting perspective. How are we going to handle it? We're not going to do anything. You're going to do what I tell you to do. Oh, well, maybe not today. Are we going to talk about it now? Those kind of people are all bark, and then they simmer kind of down. Now, again, remember, I give you the 80-20 rule. You will have 20%, 10% that are just, you just can't deal with them. Or you have to deal with them so Herculean, it's so difficult. And another 10% that are just really unskilled. But the more you practice it, I don't know if you want to do this, but when I was learning to get good at my craft, I used to go to Target and sit by the return desk and watch. I just watched. How would I have handled that? Oh, that person's a liar. How would I have done that? I just watched. And I learned, and I saw some people who were not skillful at all, some were very skillful. I learned a lot. You can sit there for half an hour and get full day training out of it. So that's what I would suggest, so review, so that when you have the situation, you know, you're not bringing a knife to a gunfight. You've got, okay, these are the tools I'm gonna use, and you start with one, small winnable victories, remember, one, and yet two, then yet three, and then before you know it, you're walking around like a Rambo guy, things over you and. Is that good? Okay, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
So,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Hesha. This was fantastic. And one of the things I wanted to, maybe note and ask you about is, I do see how everything you're teaching us is based in brain science and, right? And we, at SRQ Strong and a lot of the organizations here today, try to help people in our community understand brain science. But what I'm getting present to here with you is knowing that science doesn't make the difference. It's practicing things like you're teaching us today. And people can practice what you're teaching us today without knowing all the brain science.
Well said.
So thank you for this gift. You know, it makes our jobs easier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And very well said, because you can read all the love poems in the world, but they don't fall in love, you know, and I will tell you, there was a time, I was in my 30s, and I was angry at my now ex-husband, you know, and he was just, it was justified, and all like this, and we were in a hotel, and I came out of the doorway, and I was fuming, and there's a doorman. Wish I'd gotten his name. All I can remember is he was Hispanic, he was about 50, and he was so kind. And he just looked at me, and I don't even actually remember what he said, but he said some kind of Bucks-like thing, like I talk about, and just listened and didn't judge me, or he heard and just said, like the wisdom that came out of this man, the gift that he gave me, I hopefully replicated and, you know, multiplied it out to others. So, and that's what you're gonna do. People don't have to understand. You know, here's a board. You don't have to understand how the little board is the big board. Here's a board. Thank you. Oh, yes, we should. Here, I asked you guys to do it and then I didn't do it. I apologize. Okay. How does it slide down? Am I?
On the side, great God. Right.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so there was just a couple in there asking what
So-
number 14 was. Where was the slide? There we go. So I plan to use,
Great.
I'm like in front of
I
the
love
camera
that,
too.
Leanne. Thank you. And then was there any questions? Good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
No
I think there was a
question.
question. Of use of curiosity. It's a non-threatening way to gather. Yes, kind of makes you think of, yes. Yeah, it is a Columbo thing. You're right. But this is the thing. What I say to you is don't do it like me. Do it like you.
Yeah.
Right? Columbo would work for certain personalities. Well, my personality is too hot. I'm too fiery to be a Columbo personality. So that wouldn't work for me. It might work for you. And that is so great. And like troubled teenagers, the reason they don't want to talk is because they don't trust anybody. And they have enough facts and data to prove that they are right. Right? So why would they? And it's like a cop arrests you and says, anything you say will be used against you. Well, that's what they're used to. And think about this, all those chemicals and all those hormones I told you about. First of all, show of hands, who would go back in this room and be a teenager? Okay. I mean, these people are, and testosterone, by the way, is the most powerful drug in the world. The most powerful. And it is drop kicking into these boys' bodies. They don't know what to do. Girls are stuff. I mean, it's a hot freaking mess. And we're telling them, don't be rational, be civil, talk to each other. You know, and being able to say, it's okay to jump up and down before you talk to somebody, or to do 20 push-ups, or to take a cold shower, or to take a walk around the block, or to say to somebody, I need a minute. That is completely okay and good boundaries, good for you for having your boundaries. Now you're a trusted adult.
Well, we want to be a trusted organization and it's 7:30.
All right.
So we have to thank Hesha. All of you for coming. And if you want to continue the conversation, please feel free to email us and let us know how it's worked out, trying these things